Today we're going to go over a question I get all the time. How do I get my wife or my girlfriend into shooting? Or how maybe they like shooting, but how do I get them to carry every day? What's up, America? This is Kim with Geauga Firearms Academy. Thanks for watching. Today I'm going to give you some tips that I give everyone that asks me online, because not everyone can come to Ohio and see us. They ask us, how am I going to get my girlfriend or my wife to shoot, or how to get them to carry. So it's a two-part approach. First, you have to get them comfortable shooting before you can get them comfortable carrying. So why are they uncomfortable shooting? Is it that they had a bad experience? Is it that they're just afraid of guns in general? Or is it a political reason? If it's political, I hate to tell you this, but I don't know how you're married in the first place, because it's such a big issue. But you're probably not going to change their mind, just like they're not going to change your mind in thinking that we should ban all guns. We always fear what we don't know. One of the first things we do with all new shooters is we set them down and we take apart the gun and we explain how it actually works so that they understand it's not going to just go off randomly in your hand. Then we have them reassemble and disassemble the gun again so they can get comfortable with just holding the gun and having it in their hands. One thing we see a lot of is that people are very experienced and they have a lot of skills, and they explain that to their significant other, but they're not going to accept it. And someone could come in, a third party, say the same thing, and a light bulb goes off. So you might want to look at finding an instructor. If you can, find a female one. They are out there. Maybe go to your range and ask around. If you can't, at least find somebody who's experienced with new shooters, and maybe it'll help them absorb the information, because maybe you're telling it to them, but they're not hearing you. We always tell everyone the hardest students are the ones that have been shooting their whole life. If you can start off with an instructor and have them teach you the basics, you don't learn all those bad habits, and they'll oftentimes come in and shoot really well because they don't have the bad habits that you've had shooting your whole life. Another fun thing to do is make it a date night. Find a local instructor and go and do it together and make it a fun experience that you guys can do and share together. Neil always says the easiest students are actually the female students, because they don't have that big thing in the way, their ego. They actually listen and they do what we say, and they have great results because of it. So you're all ready to go to the range. Some quick tips that will really help you out with a new shooter is understanding one thing we get a lot is sound sensitive people who are just really sensitive to sound, and they're really worried about it, especially when you're going to a range and there could be 10 other people firing shotguns and rifles around you. Consider doubling up, having earplugs and ear muffs to help drown out that sound. It might be a little harder to talk to them, but it'll help them concentrate and enjoy the experience. One of the biggest mistakes we see with new shooters is that they bring them with these little tiny carry guns, and those are going to give the worst experience. They start off with a shield or an XDS or some little tiny gun. And you got to understand, the best gun to start off with is a full-size gun, because you got more grip surface, you got more mass, and you're going to feel less felt recoil. And also, you're going to be more accurate. And who wants to start something and be terrible at it? If they're doing a lot better, they're going to be more likely to enjoy it and want to come back and do it more. And those small carry guns are great, but you got to work your way to them. Another thing to think about is fatigue. I know you might go to the range and you paid for a half an hour, but don't stay that long if you're starting to wear out, because what happens is you're going to see they're going to start, they're fresh, they're new, they're doing really well, and all of a sudden you start to fatigue and you start having bad results, and then you're going to leave on a bad note, and it's going to give you a bad experience. Another mistake I see a lot of couples do is we get these people, they come to our class and they're like, oh yeah, my wife's been shooting, she knows, she's great at it, and it's their turn to go up there, and they're like looking at me like, well, who's going to load the gun? Don't load the gun for them. Let them do it. It should be very important that you teach them gun safety, that you teach them how to load the magazine, that you teach them how to actually properly safety check a gun. All these things, that should be first and foremost, because we see it happen all the time. They go up there and they're great at shooting, but they have no idea how to properly operate the gun. Along with physical fatigue, you also have to think about mental fatigue. Shooting is all in your mind, and you're going to see it. You'll go to the range and you'll see people crying, and you got to keep it positive. You have to set the tone, and really, when you're first starting shooting, there's so much to think about. You're worrying about your grip, your stance, your breathing, your sights, all these new things that you have to think about that you probably as a shooter, do in just a second because you're so trained. So take your time, work on the things that are most important. Maybe this time we're going to just work on trigger control, or we're going to work on just getting the sights lined up. But don't try to do it all at once and overwhelm somebody. So here's the whole key to this. If you really want to give them a great experience before they fire any rounds at the range, you should have dry fire practice at least 50 to 100 times, going over those fundamentals. And if you don't know the order of those fundamentals, you probably shouldn't be the one teaching them. And their main reason behind this is it's like teaching someone to drive. You wouldn't just throw them the keys and send them off on the freeway, would you? No, you're going to start off in a parking lot, going in a little circle. You got to have baby steps. And now we're going to go over the second question, is how to get them to carry. But before we do that, we need to remember that they have to be completely comfortable with shooting. And that's not up to you, it's up to them and their comfort level. And so that might take time. So you just need to be patient and work with them. Now that they're completely comfortable with shooting, now they're ready to carry. And they have to find their own reason why they want to carry. I put a link below. You can check it out. It's my reason why I carry. But each person has to find their reason why they want to carry a gun. And this might be a time to check your own ego. You might go to the range every day and shoot. You could be shooting your whole life, and you stand in a little box and you are a line shooter. That's when you just shoot and you do really well, but that doesn't mean you're proficient at teaching someone how to holster and unholster their gun. So this might be a time to go and find an instructor, help teach them, show them, have patience with them. It's going to be baby steps. You have to understand, as a woman, it's a lot more difficult because you do have to make some compromises in your clothing, but it's not something that's impossible. And if it's something that they really want to do and they're passionate about, they'll make it work. I'm going to put a link to all my videos below. I try to do as many women's carry videos as possible. I do tips and I try out different products, and I just, see what's safe, what's not safe, and just try to help women feel comfortable carrying. And my last point, please, no matter how bad you want your wife or your girlfriend to carry, please discourage them from carrying off body. It's dangerous. They're not going to be able to access it. It's no good. It works great in the movies. I hope you guys found that video helpful. Those are some little tips. I get that question a lot. Those are some things that you can do to help your wife feel comfortable shooting, or your girlfriend feel comfortable shooting, and hopefully eventually carrying. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. I always appreciate it. Like it, share it. Please make sure you subscribe here on YouTube. Click the little bell next to it so every time I put out a video, you can see it. You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course, all of our premium content goes to Patreon. Until next time, remember, it's always better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6.